Hey, what's up, my Aquarius friends? This is your astrological monthly forecast for the month of September 2016. Thank you so much for tuning in. Very briefly before we get started, I just wanted to remind you guys that this is a general forecast for anyone born under the sun, moon, or rising / ascendant sign in the sign of Aquarius. And don't forget, you have a whole entire chart to look at when it comes to your astrological profile. You may know that you were born in January or February, that you're an Aquarius, but there's so much more to you. We're all more than just one sign, one energy. So check out your birth chart. I posted a link down below in the description box to where you can go and pull yours up and see what it says. But if you don't understand what all those symbols and hieroglyphics mean, and you would like a more personalized interpretation of your chart, I will be so glad to do so for you. There's also information down below to how you can schedule a personal reading with me, so I can let you know what makes you such a unique individual as far as your astrological birth chart. Alright, now on to your general September forecast. So my Aquarians, this month you're going to be wrapping up some really serious things that you've been dealing with as far as finances and things like that were initiated last month in August, and then on to bigger and brighter things, on to goals and things like that, and maybe even a little bit of traveling and having more of an optimistic mind, because you were going through some really deep stuff in August, and you know that continues in September, but we're going to be wrapping it up. All right, so let me break down the planetary activity in detail and explain why this is. So the sun is in Virgo until the 22nd of September. This is in your 8th house. The 8th house is the area of life that rules money that you get other than from working at a job. So this can mean inheritances, this can mean taxes, insurance, this can mean if you are in a business partnership with another person, or you have a company that you run and operate with other people and there's revenue that's generated, it's that kind of money as well. If you have a spouse or significant other that you share finances with, this area of life is highlighted for you as well. So what I've seen with some Aquarians that's going on for them with the sun in the 8th house right now is some of them are having some issues like waiting on money from, you know, the government, or some of them are actually cashing in on a settlement. There are some that are, you know, expanding their business to incorporate more employees and maybe another location to be able to generate more revenue. So those are a couple of things that I've seen personally, real life examples of this transit. This also is going to put more of a spotlight and an emphasis on the joint income that you have with a partner. If you guys are married or living together and you have bills to pay, I've seen some Aquarian people really dealing with some issues, you know, with trying to make sure that you're on the same page, maybe trying to get jobs, second jobs, you know, really trying to make sure that your finances are organized and that you're not losing money, okay? But it doesn't have to be issues necessarily. It can mean good things, like your partner gets a boost in income, and that affects you directly in some sort of way. So you guys could be earning more money together, which is awesome. The 8th house also deals with intimacy. This is the area of life of, you know, really breaking down barriers and walls as far as within yourself personally, and letting another person in to your soul, to the real you, the real raw you, you know, stripped away from any superficiality. Who are you really as a person? And the vulnerable parts of yourself, you know, letting somebody actually see those. So some of my Aquarians can be, you know, developing new relationships with people on that level as well. Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Virgo in your 8th house this whole entire month, Aquarius. So first of all, Mercury retrograde, yes, it does bring things back from the past. Yes, it does make you go over things like several times before actually getting them right and completed. It can make communication a little difficult sometimes for some of us, and for you guys, this is affecting your 8th house. As I mentioned earlier, you know, my sister is an Aquarius moon, and she is having some issues with trying to receive money that is owed to her. It's like a constant battle right now. So with Mercury retrograde there, I mean, it can cause some chaos, but at the end of its run of its retrograde period, which is in the beginning of October, you know, maybe she might start seeing those gains actually come to her as owed. This can have to do with, yes, people owing you money or you owing other people money. The 8th house is a house that rules codependency, depending upon others financially in some sort of way. So those issues may be brought back to you. The 8th house is also the house of death, and I don't want that to scare you guys to think, dun, 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 am I going to die? Is someone I know going to die? Not necessarily, okay? What this can do is bring back memories from the past of someone that has passed on, someone that's now in the spirit world. Maybe you can actually communicate with them in some sort of way if that's not scary to you. Or, you know, they just come back in memory, in spirit, some sort of way. And, you know, if you're an emotional person, which generally speaking about Aquarius, you guys are not the most like sappy, soggy, emotional people. So stuff like that usually doesn't faze Aquarius. But remember, you're more than one sign. So if you have a sensitive side to you, this can be kind of a sensitive time, you know, as far as the memory goes. But what it can do is very helpful. That's very helpful for you. It's help you to deal with some financial matters. Maybe you and a partner need to resolve a financial issue. This will help you to work together to go over that stuff over and over again and finally get it right. There is a solar eclipse, a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo on the 1st of September. And this is going to be in your 8th house as well. So a brand new beginning that lasts several months in the same area of life that we've been discussing. But I'll go more in detail about the lunar events at the end of the horoscope. So we have some energy that is shifting into the sign of Libra this month, which is great news for you guys because it's a fellow air sign. And fellow air signs, Libra and Gemini, whenever there's planetary activity in those signs, it usually brings a very good, happy energy to you guys and a happy boost to your life and to your vitality. So with Libra being your 9th house, the 9th house rules the area of life that deals with travel and higher education and seeing life from like a very high-minded perspective and seeing the big picture of things. So Venus is going to be there until the 23rd, and wherever Venus travels, this rules how we are enjoying ourselves in the physical world, in the material world, you know, whatever pleases the 5 senses and brings us a lot of joy in our lives. So Venus in the 9th, travel. I know Mercury is retrograde, things can go wrong, but just go over the details and make sure you have a plan A, B, C, whatever, what have you, but you can still enjoy some sort of travel, some sort of adventurousness in your life. Usually my Aquarian people are pretty adventurous. Some Aquarians could be a little bit stubborn and set in their ways, but generally speaking about Aquarius energy, it's outside the box. It likes to do things differently. And this energy complements you pretty well, I have to say, because it helps you to be more of like an explorer, like a world explorer. Like you don't just see yourself, you know, traveling around your neighborhood and staying in a bubble. It's like, no, this whole world is mine, honey, and I'm going to go out there and grab it and experience it to the fullest. So Venus there is going to have you enjoying life just like that. If you are an Aquarius that kind of more, you know, as a homebody, or you kind of stick to what you know or the areas that are familiar to you, this is what you need to do. At least try this. Go to like a restaurant that has foreign food or food that you never had before. Go there and explore and try something different. And it will be so enjoyable with this Venus transit. On the 18th, Venus comes into an opposition to the planet Uranus. And Uranus is your ruling planet. It rules the eccentric, the electric, the out of the box, out of the ordinary, the weird. It rules things suddenly happening in a flash that are unexpected. So with this transit, it gives Venus a zap of electricity, like an electric shock, you know. And normally Venus is very pleasant and graceful, especially being in the sign of Libra. But with her getting a zap from your eccentric ruling planet, something unexpected can happen when it comes to love and relationships in general, which Venus rules. But for you guys in particular, this is your 3rd house of the mind and learning skills in the short distance day-to-day places that you travel to. And Venus is in your 9th, like the opposite of that. Higher mind, you know, covering a more broad perspective and a broader ground in the world. So you can all of a sudden, if you're traveling, meet someone and bam, you have this all of a sudden like this crazy affair or, you know, relationship that starts of some sort with this like foreign person, or it doesn't even have to be foreign, maybe just somebody that you meet by traveling, or maybe even somebody that's different from you, you know, not necessarily by traveling, but someone that's totally outside of the normal people that you usually date or that you're open to dating to. Maybe someone of a different culture, for example. You can have all of a sudden this sudden attraction happen. So this is around the 18th, Venus opposition Uranus. So some more great news for you guys. Hold on, let me get a little more comfortable over here. Okay, so some more great news for my Aquarians is Jupiter moves into the sign of Libra. And Libra is your 9th house, which we were just talking about. It's a very exciting energy. And Jupiter's energy is very happy-go-lucky itself, and it's very like optimistic. It's all about abundance and expansion and really seeking out adventure and fun and excitement in life. It's about broadening your perspective in general in life, like with how you see things in your mind. And I know Aquarians, you guys are usually all about stuff like that, like seeing things from a different perspective, not just the same old traditional, it's always been this way. You know, you guys are usually the future dwellers that want to look out there, like what else is there, like what's next, you know, like what are we trying to do to move forward here in this world. Jupiter in your 9th house is going to be there for a whole entire year. This is a time for you to start learning some new things, maybe go back to school, maybe take some classes, or maybe even be self-taught with something brand new, a brand new topic or subject that you are passionate about. My Aquarian people are usually, generally speaking about you guys, very good with being self-taught with things because you're very intelligent and don't really like to depend upon other people for stuff, pretty independent people. And you can catch on to things that are a little bit more out there, better than other people can. So great time to further your education and your skills in this next year. And also great time to really travel, like far away places. Not just like, oh, well, I'm going the next state over. No, go to another country within the next year. Plan yourself a really nice, like, long trip, you know, somewhere far away that you never have been before. So just be more of a world traveler and be more explorative when it comes to the mind as well. The sun moves into Libra on the 22nd, and this is your 9th house as well. So I can really see some of my Aquarians deciding to go back to school, like to further their education. Starting college, you know, or working as an apprentice underneath someone who is an expert or a guru of some sort, because this energy is also a guru type of energy. So looking up to someone, finding a mentor figure to follow, you know, to learn something, to be able to pass it along and teach to other people in return. And the sun will come in conjunction with Jupiter on the 26th, enhancing this energy so much more. It can be such a fun time for you guys, for you to really see life in a more like optimistic light, you know. I know Aquarius energy is not the most, woo, you know, happy-go-lucky. It's usually like, just kidding, kind of. But you guys are, you know, people usually are like, oh, you know, are you even happy? Like, are you like, do you even have emotions? You know, people think that you guys are emotionless people, but let me tell you, in the next year, especially, you know, in September and on into next year, you guys are going to be a little bit more like happy-go-lucky people that don't let things get you down too easily. You know, you can see a brighter day in general when it comes to life matters. One thing I would warn you guys about with this Sun and Jupiter conjunction on the 26th is around the last part of the month when this happens, try not to overdo it. Try not to overdo it with anything in the material world, anything that you enjoy, whether that be food or drink or, you know, partaking in activities with other people. You know, just take what you want from whatever I just said. Or spending money, you know, using resources. I mean, all of that stuff can be overdone with this transit because it is one of abundance. But it can just be like abundance in your mind. You feel so great and so happy and like there's plenty more. There will always be plenty for me and for everybody else around me. And because of that, you may be wasteful. That's the negative side of this Jupiter energy, very optimistic energy, is being wasteful. And then maybe a week later, some reality checks set in and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Like you look at your bank account and you're like, for real? Like now you got all these overdraft fees and stuff because you overdid it with the spending and stuff. So that's just something that I'm giving a warning about with this transit. But overall, it's a super happy-go-lucky time to put a big smile on your face, Aquarius. You guys can smile. It's okay. On the 23rd of September, Venus moves from the sign of Libra into the sign of Scorpio. And for you guys, this is your 10th house of career and your social status in the world and how the world sees you. So let me tell you, with Venus in the 10th, this is a very, very lucky time if you are trying to advance in any type of way when it comes to career or getting a higher position within your job. When it comes to people on social media seeing you in a more positive light as someone who is like beautiful or handsome or gorgeous or whatever, like people will be admiring you so much more if you are in a position where you're in the spotlight or the limelight. You get a lot more positive attention. If you're trying to get a career advancement, you know, higher ups can see you in a more positive light with this transit as well. And like I said, this is the 23rd that Venus moves there. She'll be there for part of October as well. So we'll discuss a little more details during your October horoscope. So Mars continues to be in the sign of Sagittarius up until the 27th of this month. And that is your 11th house. That's the area of life that rules Aquarian type stuff, because Aquarius is the 11th sign on the general zodiac wheel. So whenever stuff is happening up there, 11 signs from you, which for you guys is Sagittarius, it's always going to be Sagittarius for you. Whenever there's planetary activity in that sign, it affects you. It brings out more of your Aquarian side. It brings out more Aquarian concerns and issues and more happy Aquarian things too, like gathering together with groups of friends and expanding your knowledge within groups of like-minded individuals. So Mars is a very aggressive, hot fireball of a planet, right? Well, the color of it is like the color of fire. It is named after the god of war. So you can imagine type of energy that it gives us. It rules our action and drive, like physical drive. And it can be kind of aggressive. It can be kind of impatient and angry at times, but it really does give you a lot of physical energy to get a lot of things done. So Mars traveling through your area of life that rules groups of people. Some of my Aquarians could have been battling it out with groups, you know, since Mars has been transiting there in and out throughout the whole year of 2016. Or you could have been very just socially active within groups, gathering together with groups of people to do active stuff like running in races, or like, I don't know, there's a lot of active stuff you can do with groups of people. Yeah, but it can have caused some, you know, conflicts within groups. Maybe people disagreeing with you and your beliefs, or vice versa. You disagree with them and you feel this aggression to be able to kind of like charge back at them. So Mars is going to move from Sagittarius to Capricorn on the 27th. Capricorn is a sign right before you, and that is what we call your 12th house. This is a house of tying up loose ends, closing out past karmic ties, you know, or past karmic events that have happened in your life. It's the subconscious mind. It's the dream state. It is losing touch with reality on the negative side. It is also compassion and like extreme divine creativity on the positive side. So when Mars moves there, just be prepared for your energy levels, your physical energy levels, to be a little bit more drained at times. And you may, if you try to go for the gusto like you usually do if you're an active person, you may find yourself feeling like your lower half of your body is underwater and the upper half is up here, and it can see where it wants to go, it knows what it wants to do, but the bottom half is just not getting you there quick enough. You don't have the energy. So that's something that I would be mindful of with this Mars transit. But it can also cause some reckless spending. So my Aquarians, for like September and October, you guys are going to be one of the #1 signs that may go a little overboard with spending, because the 12th house is also a house of losses. That could be losses of assets and finances if you're not careful. And Mars is very impulsive, so this is one of the transits of impulse spending. Now, just an example, Kim Kardashian, in her actual birth chart that she was born with, she has Mars in her 12th house. And I saw on one of her shows before, her sisters complain that she is such a big spender. Spend, 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 spend. Oh my God, have you seen how much money Kim spends? She just spends like crazy. Yeah, she does. She can afford it though. So unless you are Kim Kardashian or living her type of a lifestyle, honey, let me tell you, watch your spending and your finances this September and October. All right, so let's get into these lunar events. Every month there is a new moon which brings brand new beginnings, and there is a full moon which brings things to a close or a final decision. Well, this month is very special because not only do we have two new moons, okay, we have the first new moon is a solar eclipse. And then we have a full moon, which is also an eclipse, a lunar eclipse. For my Aquarians, this new moon in the sign of Virgo on September 1st is in your 8th house. And as we discussed earlier, the 8th house deals with finances that are joint or that you receive from other people and other means besides working at a job. So a new beginning here. Now this is in opposition to the planet Neptune, which is hanging out in your 2nd house of earned income and material possessions. So I would be very careful. There can be a new beginning that happens here. And remember, the effects of eclipses last up to 6 months. So this can trigger something to happen within the next 6 months in this area for you. Be careful with the finances, with losses, due to negligence or due to borrowing too much money. The 8th house deals with loans and credit cards and things like that too, like bank loans and stuff. So, there can be some losses that happen if you guys are not careful. But with a new moon bringing a new beginning, you have an opportunity within the next 6 months to get all of that stuff right. Get it all straightened out, like get a second job, work very hard. Make sure that you are not losing money. Make sure that you're putting it away and that you're saving, because the 8th house also deals with like inheritances, trust funds and things like that. So, rather than blowing your money, make sure you're saving it, especially for a rainy day, because with Neptune in the 2nd house, and this is going to be there for several more years, you never know what can happen. I don't want to scare you guys, but I'm just being completely honest as always. You never know what can happen as far as your finances, as far as losses and things like that. So make sure you're saving your money. On the more positive side, if you are trying to get into an intimate relationship with another person, if you're trying to join forces with another person financially, and especially when it comes to business, this can initiate a new beginning that is very positive for you with getting something started, especially if you're in a creative business, because of the opposition to Neptune. Neptune is not always, makes you lose things and out of touch with reality. It's very creative and spiritual. So the 8th house rules some spiritual and occult work. So if you are in that field, this can actually bring you a brand new beginning to where you can initiate some more steps towards having your own business and being financially successful in it. The full moon in Pisces happens on the 16th of September, and this is in your 2nd house of earned income that you earn from a job. So this is when the sun and moon are in opposite signs. So the similar themes are being brought to light here, okay, because it has to do with money and finances. Full moons usually bring things to a final decision. So the new moon may initiate something, and then the full moon may have you be like, you know what, this is what we're finally going to do. But remember, this is within the next 6 months. It doesn't have to be on that day something happens, And this new full moon is in conjunction with an asteroid named Chiron. Chiron is nicknamed the Wounded Healer. So some of my Aquarius people, you guys may have suffered some losses, and maybe even due to family, family issues may have caused that. Well, this is an opportunity to finally make a final decision, bring things to a close. So some of my Aquarians could have been suffering financial losses due to like family or giving yourself away in a charitable manner to people, but people taking advantage of you and not even paying you back, and suffering losses like that. And this is an opportunity to kind of tie things up with that and maybe finally make a decision to say, no more. I'm not going to give myself away, or my finances, or my resources, my time, love, energy. I'm not going to give it away so freely anymore, to those who will just take advantage of it. So that's something that this eclipse can bring you. So on the 30th, we have a final new moon, and it's happening in the sign of Libra, which is your 9th house, fellow air sign. Super happy, optimistic energy, especially because it's in conjunction with Jupiter. So this is a new beginning that is very expansive in the area of travel and education, okay, and optimism. So You guys are going to probably be some of the people that are traveling the most this coming month and this coming year. Just take advantage of that and enjoy it to the fullest. All right, Aquarians. So last but not least, I'm going to pull 3 angel cards for you guys this month. One for the new moon eclipse, one for the full moon eclipse, and one for the whole entire month of September. What is the general overall message for you guys? All right, I'm going to go shuffle and I'll be right back. All right, Aquarius, so these are your cards for September. The first one that came up was the one for the solar eclipse in Virgo that happened on the 1st of September. And this is the King of Water. It says, trustworthy, compassionate, respected, cultured. Open your heart and mind to those around you. Trustworthy and heartfelt advice, charity work. King of Water. Okay, so if you look at the card, this is somebody who has very quiet authority. Okay, it's like he's a king, but he is wearing makeup. So to me, I mean, and this is no discriminatory thing at all. I actually love men in makeup. Okay, but to me that says that he has some feminine qualities to him. And it doesn't necessarily mean, a feminine man will step into your life or anything like that. Not necessarily, but it can happen. All right. This is like saying that this is someone who has quiet authority. Whenever I see arms crossed in these cards, I see authority. But anyway, so this is saying to really have a sense of authority still, stand your ground, but still be compassionate. You need to maintain a balance between that. Now, the area of life to where this new moon eclipse is happening for you, or happened for you, is in Virgo, and that is your 8th house, which is dealing with money matters when it comes to other people. That can mean shared ventures, shared finances, like with a partner, but it can also mean like borrowing money and lending money as well. Okay, so this new moon is in opposition to Neptune in your 2nd house of earned money. And Neptune it rules losses. So this is telling you to still be compassionate. I believe this is still be compassionate, but be careful. I say be careful, okay, because people can be borrowing from you. Maybe you have had issues from the past, which can be coming up with Mercury being in retrograde in the same area of life, to where people have borrowed money from you and you got burned out on it. Okay, like, you know what, I'm a nice person, but I'm not giving anymore. But maybe something happens with this eclipse that it opens up for you to open your heart again, to be able to still give to people and not be, stingy pants about it. But either way, this definitely affects you as far as being compassionate towards other people. And since it's in your house of finance, it does have to do with your finances. Okay, so the next card that came up, actually, there was one that was on the top, which was this one, and then the one that peeked out and wanted to come out. And this is for the full moon eclipse in Pisces, which happens on the 16th. That is in your 2nd house of earned income. The 7 of air. Plans that need revision, more going on than meets the eye, poor timing. I call this card the flake card, okay? And it's kind of appropriate because 7 is similar to the energy of Libra. And air signs can be known as being flakes. Usually not your sign, Aquarius, but being completely honest, Gemini and Libra, they kind of have a bad reputation of being flaky when they're using their energy of air sign energy in the negative way. Okay? So, whenever I pulled this card, it's like you make plans with people and then they take off at the last second and flake out on you. That's happened to me so many times when this card has come up and it's been spot on. And if you look at the card, it's so busy, right? It's like really difficult to figure out what the heck is going on in this card. What's all this jumble of stuff? This is a bunch of unicorns and they're on like a merry-go-round. And there's 2 horses that exited off of this merry-go-round and the other ones still continue to go. So this message can be you and another person taking off in a different direction, because other people, they seem to be like in a whirlwind of like hot mess and you have no idea what they're doing and you're like, this doesn't make sense to me, let's go, let's get out of here. Or this can be you and a group, because your Aquarians are really group-oriented people. You and a group who are still staying solid in your plan, going around in this merry-go-round like you're supposed to, the same way. Then people flake out and leave and say, you know what, we're not part of this group anymore because this, that, and the other reason. Now, since this eclipse is happening in a money house, be very careful when it comes to other people. I know the last card I pulled said, still find it in your heart to be compassionate, but it still says, be very careful with your compassion. This is like another thing that kind of validates that, is to make sure you're careful when it comes to making plans with other people, especially with finances. People might get a little flaky with it, okay? And then this full moon is in Pisces. Pisces energy can cause some confusion and delusion sometimes. Things may not be all the way clear. So when it comes to your money, especially dealing with other people, Aquarius, make sure everything is clear, especially because Mercury is in retrograde at the same time in a money house. Make sure all the fine print is understood. Make sure nobody is going to be cheapskates and bail out on you when you guys make plans for financial endeavors. Now the next card, that the one that popped up in the deck for you for this full moon eclipse, is the Six of Earth. Gifts of money, time, or effort, new career opportunities, receiving a loan, or paying off debts. Wow, this is so appropriate because the full moon means the moon and the sun are in opposite signs, and they are affecting similar areas of life, but just in different ways. So this is money for you. So this is balancing your coins, maintaining a balance. So yes, be compassionate, be giving, but watch out. Make sure you're still balancing your finances too, okay? Because nobody else is going to look out for your finances. If you're giving your money away, what's that going to do for your bills? And what's that going to do for you paying debts off if you are lending money out? So be careful with lending money. Be careful with your business partnerships with money. But definitely utilize the energy of the full moon eclipse. And remember, this is within the next 6 months that something can come about with this eclipse. Keep in mind to, just make sure you balance everything out. All right. Now, for the overall message for the month of September for you guys is another Earth card. And this is the Eight of Earth, which is the eight in numerology. It symbolizes financial power. Okay. And the message on the card is skilled work is rewarded, learning all there is to know about a topic, going back to school. So, Aquarius, this is saying to be very, very diligent with your studies. If you are studying something right now, if you're in school. Now, the energy of Libra is your 9th house. And that is all about hiring your education. Okay, so this can be telling you that your education may be important this month to initiate some new changes. And also, there is a new moon at the end of the month on the 30th, on the last day of the month, in the sign of Libra. So that is initiating a new beginning. And Jupiter is there too. Jupiter is moving into Libra for you guys in your 9th house. So now it's your turn to capitalize on this energy for the next year and for this month. It's very concentrated this month with other slower moving or faster moving planets, in the sign of Libra in your 9th house of education. So there's a concentration there. But for a whole year, Aquarius, until fall of next year, you will have the benefit and the advantage over some other signs as far as hiring your education, broadening your horizons. So going back to school, yeah, it says it right there on the card. The angel is reading a bunch of books. So this is just some visual validation of the astrology for you guys. So definitely make this your focus this month. Going back to school, some of my Aquarians, maybe you finished school already, you don't need to go back to school. This school can mean training, okay? This can mean also educating yourself and teaching yourself, being self-taught with a subject and really becoming skilled at it. Aquarius energy is usually extremely highly intelligent, and you guys can think outside the box and above the box, below, underneath, all around the dang box. So you guys are very good at being self-taught with things. So really capitalize on that this month, Aquarius. And that's your cards for September. All right, Aquarius, well, that was it for your September horoscopes. If you stuck through the whole thing, thank you so much. I know it was long, but there's so many things happening and changes in energy. I had to be here to tell you guys all the details. Don't forget to subscribe if you would like your monthly forecast every single month from me. And also don't forget to order a reading if you want me to look at your individual birth chart. All right? Well, take care. Have a great, happy, optimistic month. Peace.